Greetings. Today I want to talk about bravery. I've been feeling in my heart the past, it's been going on. But I definitely felt it today going out. And so I want to speak about it because I do feel there is a pervading energy of just going along with what's happening. Just going along because you don't want to ruffle things, you don't want to feel uncomfortable, because who wants to feel uncomfortable? But the message I'm getting in my heart really strongly today is to lean into your brave. To lean into your brave. And what does that mean? How does that look? It doesn't necessarily require for you to do extra heroic acts, to do something completely out of character, though you may feel compelled to do so. But just an act of bravery that pushes you a little bit outside of your comfort zone and maybe goes against the grain a little bit. And I spoke about the unknown yesterday and leaning into the unknowable, and that's where all the magic is, that's where all the new is. How do we get there? How do we get into the place where the unknown becomes the known and we begin to unveil a new life, which maybe still lies in the unseen, in the magical realms? And if you don't like the word magic, just the unseen, that which has not yet presented itself in reality. The way to get there is through bravery. There's always been brave men and women who have pioneered that energy. Let's talk about how bravery actually works on an energetic level. Because all of the time we are emitting unseen frequencies from our heart. Okay, all of the time, whether we are aware of it or not. Our heart is emitting a field. And that field is either in love or it's in fear. It's clamping down, it's protecting itself, or it's expanding and it's pushing out a love frequency. Okay? And everyone can feel everyone else's heart, even if we don't talk about it, or even if we don't acknowledge it verbally, even if we don't know it in our minds. It's true that our heart waves are affecting each other and the reality grid. So bravery is the act of being afraid, feeling the fear, feeling the uncertainty and the unknown and the discomfort, but choosing to push the love through anyway. Choosing to correct that and push through. And it actually feels like a pressure in the heart when you're moving into bravery. And this is also what causes people to retract, because that pressure in the heart, we think, oh, that's telling me I shouldn't go there, or that's affirming to me that the discomfort is not something that I want to do. And it holds people back, that fear frequency. But bravery says, I feel the fear frequency and I'm going to push love through anyway. And what happens is it actually energetically guides the fields of the hearts around you to become aware of their own bravery meter, if you will, how courageous they're being. It actually when you see someone else being brave, it registers even if you resist it, even if you turn away, even if you acknowledge that you're not being brave. It still registers. So if you go bravely, and that doesn't always mean that you're using your voice. Sometimes it does. Sometimes it just means you're showing up a certain way. And you're doing it holding love, holding your truth, holding your knowing, even if no one else around you might visibly be supporting you, okay? So in that act, that courageous act of bravery, you're sending out a heart frequency current that actually gives permission and shows a model to everyone around you about what it is to be brave. You've got an agate here and a chunk of hair.
You need to show this.
I do. Okay.
I found it.
Yes.
I'm a little kid and I found this.
Yeah.
Right here,
awesome.
it is so yellow in the sun right now.
Yes, it's a very awesome agate that my son found up at Brian had a high peak here in Utah. And there's actually a lot of agates there, really beautiful. It makes me wonder about agates and bravery and courage, because crystals do support our emotional state. And sometimes if you want to be brave, if you want to be courageous and go into somewhere, it can be helpful to wear some kind of a crystal. I wear, careful, you're bumping in the camera. I wear my moldavite when I go out these days because I know it helps me move through. Yes, we need to get some polishers, but that's beautiful too. This bike needs a new tire pumped up though, you can't ride it, it's flat. The back tire's flat. So it's gonna have to go to the bike shop.
It worked for a long time now.
I know, we have to take it in.
No.
So I'm right in the middle of doing this, so can you
Okay,
just
so
you can
do
ride
I
that
have
other
to
one?
use this for
Just for now.
We need it now. Yes. Mom, I brought so little, but so big. I feel like this bike is like, I feel like it's smaller. I feel like I brought a lot.
So when we hold a bravery frequency, which crystals can help us to do, they can help us hold a frequency. We can actually program them to hold a love frequency, to hold a bravery, a courageous frequency. Then it's not completely on us when we bump up into the fear that's out in the world right now. There is a lot of fear. There is a lot of fear, I'm noticing. And part of my nature wants to be confrontational a little bit with that, but I know possibly an even more effective method of combating that is to show up bravely, to show up courageously, with a smile on your face, even in the uneasiness that is charting new territory, so to speak, that is pioneering a frequency that you would like to see in the world. So what would you like to see? If it's unknown, what would you like to see? What would you like to perpetuate? What would you like to do that feels like it's a little bit tricky right now? The one option is just to retreat and not go into it. But actually, the more we retreat, then the less room that we have to stretch out in, because the energies right now will close in. And so the bravery is required to kind of push out into this unseen, into the new world, to push out into the new earth, and to lead with the heart, lead with love, lead with bravery, courageously standing in love as we even go to the grocery store, as we might feel the pressure of, what's going on in society and the mandates and so forth that have been presented, even though there's not really anything behind them. Okay, so they are not solid structures. There's a lot of empty talk. So it is challenging ourselves, like, are we giving ourselves empty talk? Are we convincing ourselves that the story is okay just because we don't want to feel uncomfortable? just because we want to make sure everybody else feels okay? Are we willing to support an empty promise, an empty mandate, an empty regard that's not really based on truth, not based on love, not based on health, real health, true health, that's not based on authenticity, that's not based on freedom? Are we willing to uphold those things by just staying silent? That's the question. And I think the answer should be no. And even just one act that you can do, one act where there's somewhere that maybe you need to go that you were going to avoid going, just because you wanted to avoid the whole scene. My challenge is to step into your brave somewhere today and this week. Step into your brave. Feel yourself actually push into the field of uncomfortability and unknown, and it's becoming an accepted norm, even though people are like, oh no, this is not going to be the norm. Yeah, I mean, if everyone's going along, some of these things could become the norm. So it's up to us as a people to push back in our bravery and to stand in it and to feel the fires that will sometimes come and want to burn through the talk, right? And will want to ask you to conform to something that is, and it's maybe uncomfortable. Like, it's easier to shrink away. That's why I call someone who's being brave heroic, or a man or a woman of God, because they're standing in the fire. And sometimes the actual fire. But the fire that's the alchemical fire of change, the one that changes reality and changes mental structures and actually pushes through the tyrannical system that might be wanting to take hold of you, what pushes back on that is bravery, courage, being willing to stand in an uncomfortable position and radiate love anyway, radiate peace anyway, be the change you wish to see in the world, be the truth you wish to see. And that can just be your presence alone. Your presence alone, standing in courage and bravery amidst a powerful field of change that does affect the planet. Make no mistake about it. So one small act of bravery today, standing in the truth of who you are, can make massive change, can create that butterfly effect it does to ripple out across the planet. So enact your brave today and feel the fires of change. This is our world. Let's claim it. Let's step into it. Let's love into it. Let's pioneer the territory that's being offered. Because as the old structure crumbles and tries to take hold and make it look a certain way, that's not the world that we want to live in. Let's be real. All these mandates and so forth, this is not the world that we want to be living in. So if that's true, then we must pioneer the world that we do want to be living in. We must be willing to be brave and to push back and to stand in our truth, even just in our presence. And that is the big unknown when we stand in the fire. We don't know what the outcome will be. But more and more, we must return to trust. We must return to love. We must return to the greatness that exists within us and not hide it and not shrink from it. Because if not you and I, then who? If not you and I, then who? Here's to your brave.